Hello, good evening, my dear children, and welcome you all for our online session for the classification of organisms in the section of animal classifications. Okay, then I'll go with the specifications right away with you guys, right? So welcome again for the class session, darling. Now, animal kingdom or the kingdom Animalia, of course, now belongs to the domain Eukarya. Eukarya means the organisms who are having a complicated structure, the complicated nucleus in their cellular body. So we just learn about all the types of kingdoms except the kingdom Animalia. Now, in the kingdom Animalia, of course, we need to learn there are two types of sections. So today I'm not giving you certain types of notes. I'm just going to explain them one by one and going to show you some specific videos related to them, right? And some specific variations for you. Now, according to the having an ability of a vertebral column and not having a vertebral column, we could divide the organisms in the animal kingdom into two sections. The animals who are having a vertebral column are categorized as vertebrates. So there should be a spinal cord, there should be a notochord, which is the main nerve coordination part. So these things obviously helping up you to identify and recognize who are vertebrates and invertebrates. So if I may say so, the vertebrates can be divided into fish, amphibians, reptiles, birds, and mammals. So in Latin, we call them fish as the piscus, amphibians as amphibia, reptiles as reptilia, mammals as mammalia, as well as, darling, the birds are known as aves in the Latin word. So we are going to categorically see what are the specific features on them. Afterwards, we need to remember these organisms that we just discussed, right? They could be divided into another section. They are basically known as invertebrates. They are basically known as the invertebrates. So, kingdom Animalia, or we call it as the animal kingdom, could be divided into two categories. The organisms who are left with a vertebral column are known as invertebrates, and the organisms who are having a vertebral column are known as the vertebrates. Call them as the vertebrates. So got the invertebrates and the vertebrates. Invertebrates, of course, can be divided into many sections. For example, Nidaria. We call them as they have a coelom in their body, so they are known as coelenterata. Coelenterata. All right. And there's another one called Annelida, which is known as segmented worms. Annelida is known as a segmented worms. Then, of course, you got mollusca or mollusca. Those are the soft-bodied organisms. And then we got Cnidarian, Coelenterata, Annelida, mollusca. Then we got a very specific guide called arthropoda. And then we got a very specific part called echinodermata. Echinodermata, which is known as the forever marine type of organisms who are living on the outmost sections. Then we got the vertebrates, of course. Vertebrates can be divided into fish. Then we got amphibians. And then, of course, this next section is known as reptiles. Then we got the fish, amphibians, reptiles. Then we got the birds. And then the last one is known as mammals. So today class, we are trying to discuss about the specific features related with these organisms, specifically what are the invertebrates, what are the vertebrates, and what are their general structures in a general manner. All right. So you could see this the shared screen, and we could discuss about them. So let's go for the invertebrates, my dear. There are many sections of invertebrates whom does not have a vertebral column. So we could see Coelenterata, Annelida, Mollusca, arthropods, and of course Echinodermata can be seen in the section. All right. And then, of course, you could see the pictures related with the Coelenterata. When you're looking at the pictures related with the Coelenterata, of course, you could clearly see they are diploblastic organisms. That means Coelenteratas are consisting two germinal layers in their body. So the first germinal layer, there's a liquid in between that germinal layer. There's another germinal layer. So we call dipoblastic. So they have two blastic component layers with them. So therefore, we call them as lipoplastic organisms, such as sea anemone, jellyfish, hydra. They belongs to this categorization, darling. Right, let's see what are the features. I need to teach you, darling, the features of the cnidarian specifically moves with two sections. There are organisms who are staying in the C section, or they already staying with the certain type of structural pathway. We call them as polyps. So always the hydra and also sea anemone are considered as the polyp organisms. And of course, there is the medusa form, which is moving from one place to another. We basically call them as the medusans, right? The medusan form, are turning over. All right, they obviously turning over into movable characters. So they are moving from one place to another. The greatest example is the jellyfish. Yes, of course, we call it as a medusa. If you watch the movie Percy Jackson, you have seen who is Medusa. She's a kind of a devil lady who is having snakes in her body. And of course, when you watch at her directly, you will be frozen into a stone. So Percy Jackson killed her by using a mirror in that legendary story of Percy Jackson. If you watch the movie, you could understand. The jellyfish is just like the Medusan face. That's what it's called as Medusa. Okay, so let's see what are the characteristics of the cnidarians, darling. But before that, let's see the features related with the medusans first. What are the characteristics and the features of the medusans? First, watch this and try to learn what are the characteristics of medusan. There are two classes who are joining with us today. One class have already not done anything related with the invertebrates. That's what I'm teaching this prominently for them. The other class, of course, learn about the invertebrates, and they have halfly done the vertebrate sections. So this is a general a watchable video that I'm planning to do.
Welcome to Moo Math and Science. In this video, I'd like to talk about the phylum Cnidarians. Cnidarians are invertebrates that are famous for stinging cells, and they have radial symmetry. Let's take a look at probably the most famous cnidarian, the jellyfish.
So as you could see, the medusans are attacking by using their tentacles to the fish.
Cnidarians are famous for their sting. However, some do have a sting in which they inject venom, and others entangle their prey with sticky hairs or tentacles. Here's what a harpoon would look like from a cnidarian with a stinging cell. There are two main types of cnidarians. The medusa have their tentacles hanging down. Let's take a look at a medusa. In which the tentacles are facing upward. The sea anemone is the most famous here. Cnidarians move by jet propulsion inside their bell. And what happens is that it allows them to propel themselves forward. Not real fast, but it works. Sea anemones. Can move also. They move very slowly over the rocks, or they may move with a wiggle with their base. Take a look at this example.
So very rarely these
Medarians do
medusan
not
forms
have a
are
central
like,
nervous
the polyp
system,
forms are moving.
but they do have a
So
very
you just
crude
saw
nervous
a
system,
polyp is
or a
moving
nervous
kind of a
layer.
fast. Only the medusan forms are
Medarians
moving
can
from one
reproduce
place
both
to
sexually
another place. So
and asexually.
let's look at the features related with these organisms, darling. All right, let's see what are the specific features that these organisms, of course, are consisting with. All right, so as you could see, the cnidarians, of course, cnidarians, we call them as coelenterata as well because they have a huge layer of space inside their body. So we call them as in Sinhala Coelomantra Dharain, the people, the organisms who are having a coelom inside their body. So all these organisms are aquatic and they are mostly marine organisms, but they even lives in the river Rhine environment as well. So they have a multicellular body structure with two germinal layers. That's what we call them as the diploblastic. They have a cavity inside their body, Magipute. Due to they are having a kind of a larger cavity in their body, we call them as the what do you call the coelenteran. අපි ඒගොල්ලන්ට coelenteran කියලා කියන්නේ ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ ශරීරය ඇතුළත තියෙනවා විශාල කුහරයක්. So they are mouth cavity. So they are basically they are yes, the anus and everything. They don't have a much complicated digestive system, but these all the things are conducted by one hole. All right, and there are two types, as I told you, medusa and the polyps. And they got the radial symmetrical body. What do you mean by a radial symmetrical body? We can divide the body. You can, like cut down the body into any symmetrical sections in a radius manner. So we call aerial or the radial symmetrical body. And you have seen in the video, this one of a jellyfish is attacking to another fish and just swallowing that fish lately. So they use the nematocides. That means they are using a neurologist toxic to attack these organisms. Even they could attack the humans as well. I think you have heard that they are attacking humans too. So most of them are conducting a sexual reproduction, such as Hydra. They will be branched out, they are branched and they drops them down and they will be producing a new organism through that. Remember that, sweetie. And some, of course, conducting sexual reproduction, as we need to learn that some of them are conducting sexual reproduction. So have you ever, I think you have already seen the polyps, which are, you heard the coral reefs are made by a certain type of a polyp. Those are known as the coral polyps. These coral polyps belongs to a certain group. We call that a certain group as cnidarians, right? So they are significantly helping for the non-deep ocean beds to be having a proper ecosystem. So you need to remember the coral polyps also a type of a cnidarians. They have a type of a cnidarians. For the examination, most of the questions comes from whether they are diploblastic, whether they are total marine, why we call them as coeloms, why they have a coelenteran, how their digestion works out, are occurring, what are the examples. Like those kind of questions might come to the exam. We never heard there's an essay question comes from it, but mostly the MCQs, the multiple choice questions comes with this type of a lesson. So then let's go for annelids. So take your finger and try to bend it like this. Bend your finger. You could see your finger is very easily bending because they are segmented parts. So the worms generally have segments in their body. So segmented worms are known as annelids. We call them as annelids, are people and annelids. So the earthworm, leech, and of course the nereis, they are living in the sand. So we call sandy worm. They are having segmented body and they have a slothery, worm-like structure. So we call them as annelidas, right? So these annelidas having the specifications like this. Let's try to learn what are the sections in it. So when you're preparing a short note about the invertebrates, you need to consider about certain names on them. The names are extremely important, darling, right? So they live in the damp soil, most of the moist soil, which consisting water, marine, and the freshwater habitat. So think about the earthworm is living in a kind of a fleshy water consisting soil liquid survive in the wet water. And the multicellular body is made up with three germinal. Now, earlier they got only two germinal layers. Now we got the three germinal layers. There are three germinal layers. Therefore, we call them as tripoblastic. What's the name, sweetie? Tripoblastic. Call them as the tripoblastic organisms. They have a very slender foam-like body. Panuakara Shariryak, very slender, worm-like body can be seen in them. And the body is divided into segments internally. And of course, in externally, we could see that they have been divided into segments. So therefore, we call them as segmented worms. All right. We call them as what? Segmented worms. All right. So if you're having an earthworm in a kind of a direct manner, maybe a leech, you can cut them in one axis like this. Right? You can cut them in a one axis. Now, imagine this is the earthworm. Maybe this is the leech. You can cut them by one section. So we could have two separate sections which are similar, right? The earthworm even can be just like a cylindrical part. So we can cut them and have two halves which are similar to each of them. Therefore, we call them as bilateral symmetrical body. Now, earlier, they got the radial symmetrical body. The Coelenterata, most probably the jellyfish is having a radial symmetrical body. But the annelids, they are worms. They're like the sausages. So they are having bilateral symmetrical body because their body is segmented and they have a bilateral symmetrical body sweeting. And now imagine this is the worm's digestive gut, my pen, all right, my pen. And if the worm's body also connected to the digestive gut, what will happen? When the worm is moving, the digestive gut also moves. Well, that's not a good deed to be occurred, right? That is not a good deed to be occurred. Therefore, darling, their body, like this is the outer cover of the body, and this is the inner gut situation of the body. They are already separated with each. So when the body is moving like this, all right, there's a gap. This is the digestive gut. So the food will be moving like that. So it is kind of a complicated body structure. It is a certain type of a complicated. So there is a fluid filled cavity between the body wall and the digestive tract. So it is known as a coelom. We call it as a coelom. And it provides an independent movement for the gut wall, irrespective to the body movements. That's the thing we need to remember. So here the gut wall is moving its food from one place to another place. And you could see here, the body movement is occurring into the other section. That's a very important thing. Therefore, the coelom, their body is having a larger type of an open space, right? The coelom, call it as the coelom body structure. So this is known as a coelom, as we supposedly explained about it. So some reproduce by sexually, right? And some are reproduction by sexually. You need to remember these guys are not intimidated as a complicated organism. Still they are surviving though, but they are not intimidated as the organism. So now let's check a certain pathway related with the invertebrates, and let's look at the annelids. Try to understand what are the features related with the annelids, darling. Look at the video and try to understand the significant parts related with the video. It's all about the annelids.
Classification of phylum Annelida. Phylum Annelida is divided into three classes: Polychaeta, Olgochaeta, and Hirudinea. These are commonly known as Bristol worm. All are marine. Many are burrowing. Others are free swimming or crawling or tuberculous. Head is distinct with sensory structures like eyes, antenna, palps, and cirri. Clitellum is absent. Each segment has a pair of lateral outgrowths of the body wall are called parapodia. Parapodia bear bundles of setae. These are unisexual. Most segments bear gonads in many species. Gonoducts are absent. Gametes are shed into coelom. They are spawned through metanephridia. Fertilization is external. Development includes trochophore larvae. Examples: Nereis, sandworm; Chaetopterus, paddleworm; Eunyce, paloloworm. Class 2. Oligochaeta. They are terrestrial earthworms. Few are freshwater and marine water species. Appendages are absent. Eyes are absent, but photoreceptors are present in epidermis. Clitellum develops at sexual maturity. Parapodia are absent. Setae are fewer in number. They are bisexual and perform copulation. Gonads are present in few segments. Gonoducts are present. Development is direct. Examples: Favetima, Lumbricus, Tubifax. Class 3. Heodinia. Leeches are included in this class. Majority of the leeches live in fresh water. Few are marine water and some are terrestrial. They are blood-sucking ectoparasites. Few are carnivorous predators. Appendages are absent. Ocelli are present. They have a fixed number of segments that show superficial annuli. Clitellum is conspicuous only during reproductive periods. They have an anterior sucker and a posterior sucker helpful for locomotion. Setae and parapodia are absent. Coelom is fixed with excretory tissue or nutritive material called botryoidal tissue. These are bisexual and perform copulation. Gonads are present in few segments. Gonoducts are present. Cirrus is present. Fertilization is internal and development is direct. Examples: Hirudinaria,
So you're
Hirudo,
looking your favorite type of leeches. There are different types of leeches. People hate these types of leeches, of course, but they
Hemodin,
are segmented bombs, just like the earthworms, right? They are segmented bombs.
Pontobdella.
All right. So these are the graphic examples that we could have again about the types of what you call the annelids. There are specifications have been explained on the video too. All right. Okay, so then of course look at both. We could see the organisms who are known as molluscan, soft-bodied organisms who have a tripoblastic body. These organisms also have a tripoblastic body in them. So there are three germinal layers. In between there are spaces of two. And they are like snail, bivalve, chiton, slug, squid, right? And the octopus belongs to them. So before we are going to learn about their characteristics, ladies and gentlemen, I better try to involve to show what are the examples related in them. Hold on, just skip the part in it. It's a patient job. You need to be very patient these days about the connections and the sharings to hold out a second. All right, got it. These are the features of the arthropods. But before we are learning about the arthropods, we need to learn about the molluscans. So beg your pardon about it. Let's talk about what are specific features related with the molluscans. So, darling, as I told you earlier, tada, the soft-bodied organisms. I think you have almost touched these molluscans most probably. When your mom has brought some, maybe you have touched some snails or maybe you have touched some slugs. You could see they are soft-bodied organisms. So they live in the terrestrial environment, freshwater environment, and most of them are living in the marine water. So they are multicellular, trypoblastic, and they are soft-bodied animals. So you could see, sweetie, they are having 3 sections in their body. You could see them in the picture as well. They are the head, the muscular foot, and the visceral mass. The body is not divided into segments, so we call it as a visceral mass. And the body is, already moistened by the mucus. The body is already, mucus is there a lot, so it's already having a really nice mucus structure in there. And of course, some molluscans are possessing internal and external shells, which are made up with calcium carbonate, like the slugs, bivalves, right? And they have a bilateral symmetrical body. You could cut them into a sophisticated 2 segmented parts. They are mostly showing the sexual reproduction, and some produces one type of a gemity. Therefore, we call them as unisexual. So there are males and females. On the second video that I'm going to show you today, you will see slugs and these, even the octopus, they have male and female types divided. So they do sexual reproduction, right? So I'm not giving you the time to write down the notes, because at last I will tell you what to do with the notes. Okay, right. So I'm going to show you first a kind of a very interesting video, which is made by one of my students in my school. Okay, and like 2 students have done it. It's a very nice one. So I'm showing that video to the students. They have made this video by using the examples of the molluscans. So let's see what are the examples of the molluscans first, and then we will see what are the characteristics of the molluscans. Watch this one first, darling. I think you can hear clearly when the video is playing, right? Okay. Can you listen to the sound? Watch
dreams that you dream of, dreams really true. Someday I wish upon a star, wake up where the clouds are far behind me, where trouble melts like lemon drops, high above the chimney top. That's where you find me, oh, somewhere over the
Yeah, those are the examples that we could see on the invertebrates who are living in the molluscans who are living in the sea. So let's see what are the significant features related with these molluscans. Watch this and try to learn them at home comfortably or sitting in home and watching the invertebrates, of course. I think you could enjoy the section all there. Watch this thing very easily, darling, and then I'll tell you what to do as in homework specifically for the children.
Kingdom
who
Animalia,
are having examinations.
phylum Mollusca.
Watch this.
The sixth phylum is Mollusca. The mollusks are diverse, successful, and the second largest group of animals. Mollusks are advanced than annelids in features such as the presence of a distinct head and foot, well-developed gills for respiration. Mollusca are bilaterally symmetrical, soft-bodied, unsegmented animals. The body is distinguished into a head, foot, visceral mass and a mantle. The mantle secretes a shell, and the space between the mantle and the body wall is known as mantle cavity. Mollusks have gills or tenidia for respiration, which are located in the mantle cavity. The alimentary canal is well developed and coiled. Most mollusks have a rasping tongue-like radula used for feeding. Mollusks show a lacunar type of circulatory system in which there is a dorsal heart and a few blood vessels. Excretion is done through one or two pairs of kidneys. Sexes are separate in mollusks, and the fertilization may be internal or external. The nervous system in mollusks comprises of paired cephalic, pleural, pedal, and visceral ganglia. Mollusks also show the presence of sensory organs such as eyes, tentacles, etc. Phylum Mollusca is divided into 6 classes, but the 3 major classes are Gastropoda, Pelecypoda, and Cephalopoda. Class Gastropoda includes terrestrial and aquatic mollusks, which are snails, slugs, and winkles. Their body is asymmetrical because of the twisting of the visceral mass in the spiral shape of the shell. The second class, called Pelecypoda, includes bivalves such as mussels, clams, and oysters. They're typically burrowers in mud and sand and show bilateral symmetry. The third class is that of Cephalopoda, which includes octopus and squid. They are adapted for swimming and are active animals with well-developed sense organs and nervous system.
Okay, so those. Okay, darling. So those are the specifications that we could see through the molluscans. I think you could hear me very well, right? Okay. So let's go to learn about the arthropods. Now, if we are having a bow with arthropods, in the near future, we will be definitely going to lose. Arthro means jointed. So our limbs are like this. Arthropods have jointed limbs, so their limbs are generated with their body segment. So the arthro means jointed, podos means limbs. So they are known as jointed limbs. the organism. So this is the phylum with the highest number of species in the animal kingdom. 75% of the animal species belongs to this phylum. So the arthropod phylum has a section called Insecta. They are the highest organisms. What are the examples for them, darling? The examples for them is like nearly 1 million species types could be seen in them, like bee, butterfly, starting with cricket, mosquito types, spiders, scorpion, millipede, centipede, prawns, crabs, even barnacles are belongs to the phylum. So let's see, these are the specific pictures as you could see them. These are the features of the arthropods. The picture is your favorite cockroach also there. They live in the marine, freshwater and terrestrial habitats. They are tripoblastic, coelomic, and they are possessing jointed limbs. You need to remember they are possessing jointed limbs. So therefore we call them as the jointed limb organisms. Therefore we basically call them arthropods. Now the body has segmented. There are 3 segments that we can see in the arthropod body. They are the head, the thorax, and the abdomen. So there are a chitinous cuticle on the body, and it is working like a proper exoskeleton, a chitinous structure. Think about the cockroach. When you are pouring water over the cockroach, the water does not remain in the chitinous body structure. The water pours out. So they have special wings, some organisms like grasshoppers, cockroaches, mosquitoes, wasps and bees, significant dragonfly. These guys are having wings, some are not. And of course, if you're cutting the cockroach body, like if you're cutting the cockroach's body into what you call specifically into 2 sections, could see a bilateral symmetrical body through it. Look at the picture. In the picture, you could cut them through. So they have 2 separated sections, call them as the bilateral symmetrical bodies they are with, all right? And there are separated female and male organisms can be seen, and they are conducting sexual dimorphism. Most of the insects, the female comes and make a kind of a nest, and she lays her ova there. And then comes the male. And the male then spreads over its sperms all over this ova collection. Spider do that. So we call it as sexual dimorphism. We call it as what, darling? We call it as a sexual dimorphism. Appekat sexual dimorphism. So the sexual dimorphism occurs like that. Right? So they conduct the sexual reproduction procedure through that. All right. After that, we are going to learn about the echinodermats. But before that, I would love to show you about this very curious type of organisms, arthropods. You will love this video. Watch it nicely.
Arthropoda.
Oh, I'm so sorry. That's not the interesting one, of course. We are here to watch the interesting one, not the boring one.
Hello friends and welcome to a new happy learning video. Today we're going to learn all about the largest animal class on the planet. Introducing the arthropods. The arthropods are invertebrates, meaning they don't have internal skeletons. There are a vast amount of them, including this dancing crab, these dragonflies, this caterpillar, or even all these tiny ants. The arthropods are very different from each other. Or do you think this butterfly and this shrimp have a similarity? Truth is, they don't look alike at all. But yet all arthropods have common characteristics. Arthropod is a Latin word which means arthro, joints, and podos, feet or legs. The main arthropod characteristic refers to what their name suggests. They all have jointed legs. Another fascinating characteristic that they all have in common is that their body is divided into segments, many of which, though not all, are protected by an external skeleton, which is used as a shield or a shell. Some arthropods' bodies do not grow at the same rate as their exoskeleton, therefore making them shed it for a bigger size, a process known as molting. Arthropods can be either terrestrial or aquatic. The terrestrials, such as this scorpion, breathes through their trachea, whereas the aquatic arthropods, such as these long lobsters, breathe through their gills. Arthropods eat everything. Some are herbivores, such as this little caterpillar. Others carnivores, like this praying mantis. And others omnivores, like the wasps, which eat everything. Most arthropods have internal fertilization and are oviparous, meaning they lay eggs to reproduce. Larvae hatch from these eggs and then go through different stages before becoming an adult. The changes is called metamorphosis. As there are so many different types of arthropods, they are classified into 4 large groups, depending on the amount of legs they have. Insects have 6 legs, such as an ant, flies, or those really annoying gnats. The arachnids have 8 legs, such as spiders or scorpions. Crustaceans have 10 legs, like this shrimp or this shy crab. And the myriapods have more than 10 legs, and their bodies are elongated, like these caterpillars or these centipedes. Now we're going to remember the most important things. Arthropods are invertebrates, and their main characteristics are their jointed legs. Their bodies are divided into segments, and they lay eggs to reproduce, meaning they are oviparous. The terrestrial arthropods breathe through their tracheas, and the aquatic arthropods through their gills. And they can be either herbivores, carnivores, or omnivores. Lastly, and very importantly, you must remember that the arthropods are classified in 4 groups depending on the amount of legs they have. Insects, 6 legs. Arachnids, 8 legs. Crustaceans, 10 legs. And myriapods are those who have more than 10 legs and have elongated bodies. Well, that's everything for today. And now you know a little bit more about arthropods. Until the next video, my friends, and don't forget to subscribe to Happy Learning.
So those are all the features that we need to learn about the arthropods. It's some sort of a very exclusive and extraordinary thing, darling. All right, that's wonderful. Okay, so now we are going to learn about the last part related with the invertebrates. We call them as echinodermata. Now, cnidarians or the coelenterata and the echinodermata significantly showing similar characteristics, but echinodermata are much more primary invertebrate type, not that complicated. But it says on the biology, on the evolutionary process, that the chordates are having a significant characteristics related with the invertebrate type called echinodermatas. Now, these organisms are known as phylogenetic organisms. They have evolutionary relationships with the phylum Chordata. Now, starfish, of course, you know there are 5 tentacle animals. And of course, the sea urchin, Sinhala we call it ikiri, and then the sea cucumber and the sea lily belongs to them. These organisms are considered as the most significant and the simplest types of organisms. They all are marine, they are triploblastic, they have a coelomic body structure. Body is separated into 5 radial arms, as you could remember, and they have a sharp spiny body, sharp but spiny body, And of course, the body is having a shape like a star. So only the pentadactyl radial symmetrical body they called it, but not everybody have five tentacles or five separated parts. So some are star shaped, some are cylindrical shaped, some are like flowers. Now the important thing is, in one part they take the water and they are spreading water out. So we call it as they have a water vascular system. So here the tube feet is there, just like these molluscans. They have a tube feet which is helping to move or locomote from one place and hang on one wetty surface. They don't have any head, they don't have any brain, they don't have your eyes. Your parents are sometimes blaming you, don't you have a head? You could say, no, I'm a echinodermata, no, I'm a sea cucumber, I'm a starfish. They don't have anything. And of course, they show the sexual dimorphism and sometimes showing the sexual reproduction as well. Magipute, you need to remember that significant part. Now, before I am moving to show you about the echinodermatas, the video related to that, I wanted to do something very important. If you are a student who didn't wrote any notes about the invertebrates, specifically our Saturday class students, you need to take a A4 sheet and prepare each and every invertebrate type a significant short note and the proper diagrams. So take a table, and in the table you need to make significant features in a table or make separate short notes about these invertebrate groups. So when you're coming back on the next week for your classes, you need to have it. Because on the 6th of November, Monday, I will be having my examinations. Before that, that means the next Saturday, you will be having an examination. Therefore, I need you to reckon it has a very specification. Remember, 30th, 3:30 to 5:30, not in the morning, 3:30 to 5:30. We have the class which explains about the chemical bonds. So in that class, I will be taking about 1 hour to explain the chemical bonds for you. In the other hour, like 30 minutes only, I need to explain about the vertebrates and the sectional things related to the vertebrates. I'm afraid today I will be not able to explain about the vertebrates. I could only show you the important statistics related to that. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's watch what are the specifications related with the echinodermas or the echinoderms. Watch this.
Echinodermata, general characters and classification. The name Echinodermata was coined by Jacob Klein. It is derived from Greek word echinos, means spiny, and derma, means skin. Sea stars, brittle stars, sea urchins, sea cucumbers, and sea lilies are included in this phylum Echinodermata. Water vascular system derived from coelom is a unique feature of echinoderms. These are triploblastic, enterocoelomate, durostomic, and unsegmented animals. Among non-chordates, presence of mesodermal endoskeleton is a special feature of echinoderms. Chordate characters of echinoderms are 1. Deuterostomous animals. 2. Radial and indeterminate cleavage. 3. Enterocoelous coelom. 4. Endoskeleton is mesodermal in origin. Adults show pentaradial symmetry. Larvae show bilateral symmetry. Echinoderms show typical deuterostome features like radial cleavage development of coelom from archenteron. Resembles coelenterate in absence of brain and presence of radial symmetry. General characters of Echinodermata. They are exclusively marine water animals. Synapta similis occurs in brackish water. Bilateral symmetry in larvae and pentamerous radial symmetry in adults. Body parts are arranged in fives or multiples of fives. Body bears spines and pincer-like pedicellarian. Spines are protective in function. The pedicellarian keep the body surface clear of debris and minute organisms. Echinoderms possess a unique system called vatovascular or ambulacral system. Tube feet in this system help in locomotion and food capture. Respiration is carried out by papillae or dermal branchia, which are thin outgrowths of body wall between the spines. Cloacal respiratory tree occur in sea cucumber. Blood vascular system is called as hemal system. It is open type and is poorly developed. Echinoderms rely chiefly on coelomic circulation. Special excretory organs are absent. Metabolic wastes diffuse out through thin walls of tube feet and papillae. Nervous and sensory system are generally poorly developed. Sexes are usually separate. Fertilization is external. Cleavage is radial and indeterminate. Development is indirect. A hypothetical larva called diplural is considered as the ancestor for all echinoderm larvae. Power of regeneration is remarkable. Unique process called autotomy occurs when captured by a predator. Lost part of the body is regenerated. Self-mutilation or self-ampulation.
Okay, right. So those are the specific features related with the invertebrates, Maikote. What we are supposed to do is, after this, we need to consider about the characteristics of the vertebrates, right? So I will be making another important video related with the vertebrates for you before the examination. I will send it over as a proper video, so you would enjoy it. You can watch it and you can gather all the informations. Meanwhile, all the students who are not following through the invertebrates and vertebrates on the sections, they need to follow and they need to consider specific short note. Prepare a specific short note related with the invertebrates. So you can read the vertebrate section and then you can follow up a special short note with the vertebrates. I will be promising you to make a proper vertebrate video so you can make me enjoy. Thank you for joining with us today. So I'm going to stop the class right away. All right. Hold on. I don't know. Can you see me in the screen now? All right. All right. So anyway, darling, try to refer the notes related with these all the kingdoms and vertebrates and invertebrates. You need to make your proper own notes with it. And the next time we will be meeting up on vertebrate video. Before that, let me frankly say you, there will be a special class for cover the chemical bond lesson on this upcoming 30th. Even though it is a government school holiday, international children could not come there. Therefore, I am, asking all the students who miss the chemical bond lesson, if you need to revise the lesson again, you need to come on Monday at 3:30 to 5:30 at Kadampa Science Image Institution. Examinations will be starting from the 1st of November to all my theory classes. Have a nice evening. Enjoy yourself. Study hard. Good evening, my dear children. Take care.